All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets on this Sunday 2-game slate. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, guys, because I'm doing this video the day of, I can do a recap from the previous slate, and the previous slate did go well. Ended up going 3 for 3. Also mentioned you could stack on Jokic onto this stat because Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook getting their over fantasy score does correlate decently well with Jokic not getting his over fantasy score. So it ended up being a pretty good day. If you look at the bet of the day over the past 2 slates now, we are now 6 for 8 over the past 2 days, which, pretty solid. We'll take that. Hopefully today is going to be better, but just based off of the board, guys, we're going to have to work for it a little bit. There's going to be a little bit more traditional sportsbook bets rather than prize picks bets. And so let's go ahead and get into the first game. We got Cleveland versus Indiana. Now, this is a game in which Cleveland is projected to win by 8 points, so maybe a potential of a blowout. Looking at the game total as well, guys, pretty high scoring game. Okay, so naturally speaking, we're probably going to want to chase a decent amount of over bets. Now, the issue that we have on this slate is that we have Cleveland. Cleveland kind of goes deep. Really, any Cleveland game, I'm always a little bit worried because all 4 of their star players could really go off on any given slate, and that is a little bit of a concern. Now, I will say I don't mind the idea of some of the prop bets that we are getting, specifically like Darius Garland's an interesting spot here, guys. He is someone that obviously was a little bit banged up throughout the playoffs. He is still questionable in this game as well. We're going to notice that the average sportsbook line only has it about 30.2. So with that line, we're actually being told to bet the under of 31.5. All the other data points that we have coming in on Darius Garland are actually telling us to bet the over, and he has been extremely consistent as well. Given the fact that this is also a high scoring game as well, I kind of like the over. He's projected to get 34 minutes. If he does get 34 minutes, he should be able to get there. Against Indiana thus far this season, he's got 34.7 and then 27.7. In the first game, though, he only played 29 minutes. And so if you give him that additional 5 minutes or maybe even more than that, there's a good chance that he makes another bucket or gets another assist or 2 in there. And then he's obviously getting his over here. So interesting line there. I might get to his over a little bit, even though the data is telling us to bet the under. I do think that that is an interesting spot. Now, I am expecting Garland to play, but if he were to end up sitting, someone like Donovan Mitchell would actually benefit a decent amount, again, especially with this game being projected to be a pretty high scoring game. When we look at his point total, he does average 2.2 more points per 36 with Garland off the court to about 28.6 points, which is a decent line there. And like Garland, he is 50% on this matchup thus far this season. That's kind of like, oh, well, it's again, we're the only reason to be betting this bet is if you think Garland is going to sit. You look at the projection data, it does have him closer to about 24.4. The rest of the data is kind of telling us to bet the over. So we're caught in between there a little bit. It's worth calling out that his fantasy score is projected to be for the under as well, which again, he's kind of split that against Indy thus far this season. So kind of is what it is. Did want to talk about that. Now, Evan Mobley is actually the player that does benefit the most with Garland off the court. And so that's kind of like twofold. If Garland ends up playing, you're obviously not sitting well. If he does end up sitting, you're gaining a pretty good edge here. So I don't mind the idea of potentially getting to his over rebounds. Again, with this high scoring game, if he's going to get 34 minutes in this game, he could easily get to his over 9.5 rebounds that we're being told to bet on here. Somewhat, the average sportsbook line is favoring the over at about 52%. All the other data points are telling us to bet the over here as well. If you look at his per 36 production with Garland off the court, does average 12.7 rebounds per 36 with him off the court, which is about a bump of 3 rebounds per 36, again, with Garland off the court. So a very good spot there. We could also potentially target his points and rebounds or just his points. Looking at his points, guys, he is someone that, again, with Garland off the court, averages 4.5 more points per 36 to about 24.5 points per 36. He's been pretty hit or miss. I don't love that aspect of it. We'll take a peek at what he's done against Indy thus far this year. Over once, under once, so it's kind of don't love that aspect of it. But again, a pretty decent spot, again, if you think that Garland is going to end up sitting. And just as an FYI, guys, we're not getting like any great bets for Cleveland or any hammer bets. We are getting some great bets, if you will, where, all the data points are kind of telling us to do mostly the same thing. So I'm looking at this. Max Strus potentially for his over points of 9.5 is actually a decent traditional sportsbook bet. Looking at a site like ESPN Bet, they have sorry, not ESPN Bet, DraftKings, they have him at minus 110 to get over 9.5 points. That's seemingly a good bet. The line probably should be at 10, okay? And he's someone that, again, with Garland now, it does pick up a little bit of usage. If he gets 28, maybe even 30 minutes, he should be able to get that over. Decent prop line difference that I wanted to call out there as well, though. But it's probably going to get to 10 points, like not a massive edge, but I wanted to call that out there as well. And then Evan Mobley, I actually don't mind the idea of betting on his over rebounds and assists. Again, he does benefit with Garland off the court rebounds wise, not exactly assist wise, but could be a good sportsbook bet there as well. Ignored the last 5 average, guys. That was against Miami's lower game totals, slower pace, tougher matchup as well. So again, don't hate the idea of getting to Mobley. Let's go ahead and get into Indy. I don't know what to do with Indy. This is gonna sound like a little bit of a biased Bucks fan, but like how do we gauge the playoff Pacers with the Bucks being depleted, obviously without their second best player for a majority of the season or postseason, and obviously one game where he rushed back, which obviously ended up being a mistake. That's not to say the Pacers didn't play well, but man, with them being 8-point dogs against Cleveland, who I would argue is, they're my pick to win the NBA championship. I just think they're the deepest, most talented, and they had the veteran experience, over a team like OKC, for example. We are getting some fine spots, but again, given the 8-point spread, I don't think we can accurately project the minutes or predict the minutes. And so for the most part, I'm probably staying away. We are seeing some differences here with Andrew Nembhard, like his over 4.5 field goals is a bet that's popping up. You could also potentially bet on him to get over his fantasy score of 24.5. He has obviously been playing well as well. He does. It's not a good matchup. Let's put it that way. It's not like a matchup that you want to target. And that's kind of the issue with the Pacers. I do think we'd probably want to be targeting a little bit more of their under bets. So we're looking at one like Halliburton with this 10 assists. What's the likelihood that he's going to get over 10 assists here in this matchup? That's my concern. We are seeing some of the books are giving him at 10.5, which again, that's kind of interesting to me. Given the fact that it's 8-point spread, I could see betting the under there. But really all these bets here in this spot, specifically for the Pacers, to me, feel like we're not getting an edge. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump on into the next game. So getting into this next game, obviously a game 7, going to be a very fun game, I would say. Looking at the game, Golden State is 2.5-point dogs in this game, which my explanation for that is just kind of what we saw the last couple of games, maybe just some veterans getting a little bit too tired, not exactly prepared to play a game 7 going against the Houston team that is a little bit younger. I can buy into that, but hopefully it's a fun game. The game total 205.5, so pretty different game compared to that first game. Expected to be a lower scoring game, but not exactly like a stay away in terms of like overs or unders specifically because of that. It's a close game. Should be a fun game. Looking at the bets that we are getting, I will say we'll start with Houston here. I don't mind the idea of getting to the under here for Fred VanVleet. Okay, with Fred VanVleet, he is coming in off of a pretty darn good game and a couple of good games as well. The issue that I have with him is that he is running hot. Look at his game log prior to that, right? I really obviously went off on a pretty bad run mixed in there as well. And so just given the fact that he's coming in off of such a hot game, it's typically like I like targeting good shooters off of a cold night. I like targeting bad players for the unders after a really good day. It's just typically speaking, that's the balancing act. And so I do agree with this being one of the better bets. The average sports line, the projection data does like the under. The issue with him is that he is getting heavy minutes, guys. He could end up playing 40 minutes in this game if it does end up being that close of a game. And so that's a slight concern. On top of that, you could just bet on his under rebounds and assists as well. That does Boyd well with this. We are going to see he has, game log wise, pretty bad there, right? Pretty low. And so I think those two do go hand in hand together. It just depends on which side you guys want to end up on. Either or are going to be pretty good. Another good bet that we have is going to be Steven Adams to get over 2.5 field goals made. And looking at it, guys, it is an interesting line there. Like he's only gotten the over once this series. So not exactly the best prop bet. I would say on paper that does worry a little bit, but Vegas is liking this bet decently. 53% likelihood for the over to hit. So could be a spot that you guys get to if you guys want to maybe stack the game if you think Houston's going to win as well. Maybe Steven Adams is a part of that reason as to why. So from there, let's just see what else we're getting here. Thompson for under his fantasy scores a decent one, 53% likely to hit. We're getting some okay spots, a decent prop line difference here for Thompson as well for his under points as well, 14. Data's kind of basically saying he's going to get to over 13.5, but not, we're getting some differing lines here. Obviously the under 14.5 is heavily favored. That's why the bump is down to 14 there. And it kind of goes hand in hand with Fred VanVleet. I would say if Thompson's struggling, Fred VanVleet's also part of the reason as to why I do think that those two kind of correlate there as well. But, not too many great spots here, I would say, for Houston as well. It's a 2-game slate. Obviously, we're going to be trying to find good bets to get to. From there, let's go ahead and jump on into Golden State, guys. Golden State, we are getting some interesting traditional sportsbook bets. So like Moses Moody for over his points, we see a lot of green there. Pods to get over his rebounds of 5. We're seeing a lot of green there as well. Draymond Green for over his points, rebounds, and assists. Jimmy Butler even for over his steals. We're just getting a lot of green mixed in there, okay? And so going to be more of a traditional sportsbook sportsbook day here for Golden State. That's not to say we can't bet these. Like pods to get over 5 rebounds, good chance of this being a push. We are seeing a pretty good game log mixed in there. We are seeing some differing lines. Obviously, Bet Rivers, FanDuel, very much favoring the over of 4.5. The issue is he's probably just going to get to 5. It's kind of the issue. So if you want to like maybe use that as like a fifth slip or fifth bet into a slip or sixth bet into a slip, you could do that where you're just trying to get to the flex, you could do that. That's kind of the way I see that happening. And then Jimmy Butler for under his fantasy score is an interesting one here as well. We are going to notice basically all the data points are telling us to bet the under. And so I don't mind that one. That's a decent one. Probably going to end up playing that one. If they are, favorited to lose in this game, I could see myself getting there as well. All right, guys, so about to get into the 9 to 5 bet of the day, but do want to call it the 9 to 5 membership. If you guys want access to the NBA cheat sheet or all the other various tools available, I mentioned the 9 to 5 mobile props cheat sheet, which also operates as a slip optimizer. You guys can use that there as well. It's now included in your 9 to 5 membership. Get all the tools on the website, all for just $10 a month, guys. Great value out there. I priced it that way for you guys, so you don't have to spend a lot of money to find the best bets each and every day easily as well. And so looking at the 9 to 5 bet of the day, guys, just a 2-slip bet here, guys. So Fred VanVleet for under his 32 for his fantasy score. I'm going with Evan Mobley for over 17.5 points, just hoping that Garland in an 8-point spread does end up staying a little bit risky there. Obviously, if Garland ends up getting ruled in, we can adjust and pivot to some of the other prop bets that I did mention throughout this video, or we could potentially just end up on some MLB prop bets or, anything else in between there that's available on the 9 to 5 PrizePicks cheat sheet as well. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck with all your bets. And as always, let's keep cashing. On your way out, make sure to give a like to the video, comment your guys' favorite prop bet, and don't make to subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.